Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Dave, XRP Lion, with a special feature for you today. Had many requests to go ahead and get a video out with regards to the process for completing your paperwork for the humanitarian project funding, and I put together something that I think you're really going to enjoy. And thank you to a very close and dear friend of mine who has been through this process. This is all being made possible for you. Now, it's been said, and this has come from Charlie Ward, that the minimum value to expect is $1 million to start. Now, it's not about the money, okay? So let's not go down that route. This is about you having something in your heart that has been there, and if money wasn't an issue, what is that one thing that you've always told yourself that you would do to help others? Now, I brought this up in several interviews, and if we sat down, we'd probably have a 4-hour interview with a person. Because there are things that we have that God has put there that have been suppressed. And unfortunately, the funding wasn't there at the time. The great news is God has provided this restoration blessing with Masara and the upcoming buyback with XRP and what's coming through the Redemption Center. And you should be coming out of your skin, because this money is historical humanitarian money that goes back centuries, if not thousands of years. And as I pointed out before, they were entrusted with this money to grow it. They didn't have the shiny things to spend it on. So they saved it. And then the cabal began to use it for their own illicit and evil terms to steal, kill, and destroy mankind. Well, God had a plan going back before time began, before we even became flesh and blood on this earth. And I've talked about that before. And that's going to be covered in the upcoming XRP, XRPL, QFS video. And we'll talk about it again. But right now, let's focus on what you need to know and how you can get started today to get this all set up for yourself and your significant other or spouse or children if they're old enough to qualify. So here we go. Okay. Again, a dear friend who already submitted their humanitarian project, and it's already been approved. She made it possible for me to share this information with you. So I condensed it. I put it into a presentation. Made it extremely simple, and I think by the time we're done, you're going to be amazed at how fast you can get this done. And again, I would not procrastinate. We are very short on time, extremely short. I ran some additional dates today with some numbers that I've had, just to confirm what I've known for quite some time. And we are in that sweet spot. And again, it's not about dates. It's about events. Okay? God has proven every single thing He has shown me, and it has been correct. Just because you don't see anything doesn't mean what He identified didn't happen. Because we wouldn't be here today if nothing was happening. This has been going on for quite some time. Now, you're in a very, very select group just by seeing this today. Now, you can choose to do nothing, and that's perfectly fine. Not everybody has a desire to want to participate in their own humanitarian project or in others. And that's a decision between you and the Lord. And whatever that is, I respect it. I'm not here to try to convince you. I'm not here to try to sway you either way. This is a decision between you and Him. But what I can tell you is we are here for a purpose. Each of us entered into a covenant with the Father before we became flesh. And when He revealed this covenant, it wrecked me. Because what He shared was the fact that we had a choice. We could have stayed in heaven with Him. But we had the choice to take human form and come into this sin-natured world. By doing so, there was a beautiful inheritance available for us. And this whole time we're on earth, all we're trying to do is get back to Papa. Because He promised that if we would do this, He would guarantee a way for us to come back to Him. And we would be recognized as sons and daughters, and we would receive our inheritance. Now, this inheritance is an earthly inheritance. And it has to do with everything that was stolen in all the generations before in our lineage. Now, this was a foreign concept for people when I first revealed it after He shared it with me. I'm so happy everybody is caught on to this, and they've embraced it, and they're moving forward with it. And they're sharing it. They're spreading the word. So think about the fact that less than 500 out of every million people know this information. And it's probably smaller than that. People are going to go to the Redemption Center. And when they get to that last station, station number 9, they're going to be asked if they have a humanitarian project. And they're going to look like the deer in the headlights. And the guide won't hesitate to say, okay, let's go ahead and wrap everything up. Because there's no use in telling somebody about something they don't have any awareness of. Because it's not to make people feel bad. It's to find out who those people are that have it in their heart and are ready to move forward. Like I said before, the indication was a minimum of $1 million. And if you're responsible with the million, I'm being told that there's up to $8 billion available in additional funding. But it's gradual. There's compliance that has to be done. There's requirements. This money isn't for you to spend on yourself. It's for you to spend on mankind. And it can be as simple as wanting to take care of the people across the street to make sure that they get to the grocery store, they get to the doctor. You're able to take and run them on errands. But it's not about the end. It's not about the end achievement. And that's what was so critical. As long as you're doing what is in your heart and you're following the rules, God could put more into you to want to do with Him. So don't just think it's about one thing. And that's why what you're going to see in how this is written up It's not about being specific. It's about being general in an area. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. Okay, we have what are called initiatives and we have projects. And what's the difference between initiative and a project? Initiatives are broader and long-term efforts aimed at achieving specific company goals or vision, whereas projects are specific, short-term endeavors with defined objectives and deliverables that contribute to achieving an initiative's goals. Now, one of the requirements you'll see in the next slide is you have to use the word initiative in picking a name for your trust. You don't use the word projects anywhere. Use the word initiative or initiatives. Can a project be an initiative? Yes, a project can be part of an initiative or contribute to achieving the goals of an initiative. That's where you can be part of another humanitarian project by seeding into it. Or what your humanitarian project, or I should say initiative is, plays a role in someone else's. So what's the first step? The first step is to create your quantum trust. Excuse me. Shouldn't have had lunch before this. So this is what your organization is going to be. It's going to be a trust. You're going to use up to 6 words to name your trust. The first word should be quantum. The last word, trust. And then include initiatives within up to 6 words. And then once you do that, you're going to create an acronym. And that simply means that you take the first letter of each word and it becomes a designation or a way to quickly talk about the name for your quantum trust. So in this case, I just picked the word quantum as the first. The last was trust. And I put in the word focused initiatives. QFIT. And you'll see how we use this in the next slide. So it's not complicated. Play around with it. It's kind of neat to be able to come up with these little words. Step number 3, you have to create a title statement. And I'm giving you the title statement. You're going to insert the number of projects as a word. So if you had 3, as a number, you would put the number 3, then the word key longevity dash based initiatives for the next 200 years. See, these can be, for some people, they might last a year or 2. For other people, it's a legacy. It's going to spawn. Their initiatives are going to grow and expand. And remember we talked about the stock market, and when we have these humanitarian funds and we have our NASARA and we have our XRP buyback money, we're going to have so much that we're like, why would I ever want to do anything in the stock market again? This is what we're going to be doing, everybody. This is what brings us peace and joy and happiness and helping other people. And having something that we're working directly with our Father on. Now, what He has shared with me is the fact that we're to lean into Him. I agreed before I became flesh and blood that we were going to do something together. And we talked about what it would be. Now, I've spent my entire life getting back to my Father. And I was redeemed or received salvation through Jesus and His sacrifice. having paid the ransom for the sin condition that I was born into. Who better to know where to put that money so you're putting it in great ground? He is. He's the gardener. He knows where the great soil is. And of course, we're going to have services that help with that too, as part of my humanitarian project. So now we're going to get into some of the structure. So step number 4, we're going to create initiative statements. And here are specific examples with specific wording that you can use. It's cut and paste, people. Cut and paste. Like the first one. QFIT to research, fund, develop, partner with leading national and international scientists in the field of DNA repair, frequency, replication, and quantum light technologies for healing and anesthetic enhancement and longevity. That's an initiative right there. That's the first one. Now, if you want to play around with it, but don't change too much. This is already an approved format and style, and we don't need to recreate the wheel. Okay? That's why I spent the time to get this information, put it into a format. So literally, you're going to get on your computer, you're going to get into your Word program or your document creating program, and you're going to type it. You're going to type away. And that's why I said you should be able to complete all of this in under an hour. So an hour's worth of work to receive at least a minimum of $1 million to kickstart your humanitarian initiatives. I think this is a great opportunity for everybody. I really do. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be here, because he wouldn't have asked me to join him. And he wouldn't have put on my heart to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to help you. Because just like the parable of the talents, he said when this happened, and he brought heaven to earth to do this, after that contract ended, he said, good is no longer acceptable. We are to be great stewards, which means we are to plant into great ground. And we're going to be held accountable for that. And my humanitarian project is to help you accomplish that with the least amount of effort for the maximum results. Okay? Trying to make money in the stock market, trying to earn interest, none of that's going to happen anymore. God's kingdom, the currency is love. And you've heard me say that many, many times. Currency is love. Foundation is love. Now, there are going to be people, like I said, a very, very small group of people are going to understand and are going to run with this, and they're going to prosper. And what they put their hand to is going to multiply, multiply, and multiply. And other people are going to find out about your initiatives, and they're going to want to partner with you. They're going to want to put money into it to see it grow. So keep that in mind. This is why you're doing this. Because there's other people that are going to share in your purpose and plan with God. And I think that's so exciting. So exciting. Okay. There were 2 additional initiatives, and they're right here. And again, this is plug and play, people. Cut and paste. Excuse me. Step 5. Google Quantum for colorful pictures to put for each initiative you use. I took 3 pictures from Quantum that I had in my folder. You're free to use these. But they love colorful pictures in these proposals. You don't want it boring, black and white. No, lots of color, lots of color. As we see, lots of color here. Again, Google Quantum Pictures. Make your choices. What I did is I showed you what one should look like when it's on the page. You're going to have your picture on the left-hand side, or top or bottom, and then you're going to have your text to the right of it, to the left of it. You could stagger and have picture on the left and then your initiative, and you go down to the second one and the picture's on the right and the initiative's to the left, and then the next one is the opposite of that. Be creative, but don't reinvent the wheel, okay? Step 6, you're going to complete your NDA exemption form. And I talked about this. This came up when we were talking about the NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements that you're going to have to sign at the exemption or at the redemption center. Now you're going to take this form that's coming up, you're going to type it up, you're going to fill it out, you're going to get it notarized all before you call the 800 number to schedule your redemption center appointment. Why is that so critical? Because in the disclosure, the moment you make that 1-800 call to get routed through the regional call center to set up your exemption or your redemption appointment, you're no longer able to talk to anybody about what's going on. You can't take it and have it notarized. Nobody can see it after you schedule that appointment. If you do, you lose your NESARA. So that's why I'm urging you to follow the rules and do exactly what this says. Okay, you're going to make 2 copies. You're going to get 2 copies notarized. Or get 1 notarized and make a copy of the original for yourself. You can do that. But they have to get the original, the wet signature, the wet stamp. And that's what's coming up, and we're going to go over that. You're going to take this form and you're going to put it behind your initiatives page or pages. If you're going to do more than 1 initiative, more than 3, don't do more than 5. If you're going to do 5, make sure that's on 1 piece of paper, front and back. Don't make it 2 separate sheets, front and back. The next page would be your non-disclosure exemption form. So here's what you're going to do. Hold on just a second. Okay. You're going to type this out, starting with non-disclosure, addendum, exemption paperwork. To whom it may concern, I, and then your name, first, middle, and last. And you're going to type it just like it is here. You're going to make a line that says print full legal name, signature, and date. And then you're going to have a line for them to sign. RC means Redemption Center Guide. Then you're going to put your contacts below. These are examples, but you're gonna put your name and what, if you're the husband, the brother, the sister, the uncle, whatever your relationship is. And then you're going to put any other individual that you would need to speak to after going to the Redemption Center to begin discussing your humanitarian initiatives. Okay? If you do not have a person down here and you are found to have communicated with that person on the telephone, in person, on the phone, then you will lose your Nasara. They're looking to take it away. Okay? It's serious. There are things, go read that disclosure again, okay? Get everybody to understand what that is and why people aren't supposed to ask you questions and why you don't answer questions. Here's the notary part. Okay, so you can put this all on, one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and this would be page number 2. Okay. Make sure to include anyone who will or could be part of your humanitarian projects. Only by including them on the form can you communicate with anybody during the NDA period. And that looks like it's going to be 90 days, just 90 days. Failure to do so, and you will have your Nasara and humanitarian project funds revoked. They're not kidding. They are not kidding. Do not engage in conversation with anyone that is not on your form. And if you're going to be discussing with them, they need to have you on their form so they don't mess up. Because again, if they don't have you on their form, they lose their Nasara. So we have to be very, very careful. We have to help people understand this. And all this needs to be done before making that Redemption Center appointment, or you have to wait the 90 days until the non-disclosure expires. Your choice. Here's what it looks like. Just a real simple example. You're going to put all the pages in a 3-hole clear cover sheet presentation folder. This is a clear cover on top of this. And I will tell you this. They're super hard to find, so you might want to get started quick. You might want to pick up, 5 or 10 of them, just so you have them, in case you're helping somebody else out, son, daughter, etc., family member. Here's your little title line right here. Here's your title line right here. Here's the name of your trust. Here's your first 3 initiatives. I just put 3 on here. You're going to put your name, address, city, state, zip code, and your contact information down here. Page 3. You're going to add a very short 3-paragraph statement. You've heard me talk about this before. In paragraph number 1, fill out what's in red. Okay? You don't need to say, what does it do? You could. My humanitarian project helps blank. My humanitarian project helps the elderly on my city block or in my community to have transportation and help making doctor appointments, picking up groceries, going to visit relatives, family, friends. Remember, what, why, and how. Why is it important? My humanitarian project makes it possible for blank. Again, 1 to 2 sentences max. How will this happen? I will need funding to purchase blank for blank office equipment and other operational expenses. Then at the bottom, add a short statement on your background, education, any degrees that you have, and any other skills to show prior work experience and that you're ready to go. Excuse me. They're not looking for a resume. It's not about where you worked. It's about what you've done in your life. Think about the things you did growing up. We used to race motorcycles, motocross. Man, I tell you what, we were repairing our bikes and repairing our motorcycles constantly. We were, doing stuff like that. Well, what if your humanitarian project has the need for, assembling things and putting things together and fixing things? But again, it's not about, I have an MBA from Harvard. No, it's like, I graduated high school and then I had to take care of my family. I had to go find a job to support my father and my mother and my 2 brothers and sister. And I was the wage earner, etc. You get my point. And lastly, do the best you can. Do the best you can. Your heart tells them what they're really looking to find out about you and how they make this a reality. My guess is they already know. I mean, I've been talking about this for a while, so it's nothing new. At least 3 months. Be ready, as they may ask you to share your vision in only 3 to 10 minutes. And again, share the vision. Share the vision. Isn't about, you don't ask for money. They already know, based upon your vision, what you're going to need. And remember, if you're compliant and honest with what you're given up front, it opens the door for more down the road. And they know this. Okay? So again, don't sweat it. But just be prepared so you're not surprised or flustered. Okay? Now with that, I want to take you into something I did a quick post on today, and I'm going to include it with the XRP stuff. But it was actually, pretty cool. I think you'll get this. Okay? Here's a $100 bill from 2006. And then here's a $100 bill from 2009. Now, the treasurer of the United States on this bill was Rosie Rios, Ripple board member. She was the one in charge of creating the money and printing the money. And as she said, just a little bit over maybe a month and a half ago at the 7th Annual Economic Business Conference, she still has a hand in it. She still participates. I saw this $100 bill last night, and it triggered everything that I had been working on for my white paper to come up with the valuation for XRP based upon base 10 math. And all of a sudden it hit me as I was looking at this, and I went, wait a minute. I did the reveal about I told you that Captain Kyle told us about the seal, and that the $1 bill was the only real dollar, real money. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, what's, this is kind of that line in the sand, right? Think of it like that, line in the sand. So let's take a look at the next slide. Check this out. I went and dissected that $100 bill, put it on a timeline based upon that question that came up. Are we going back to 1955 prices? And all of a sudden it was just like, Lord. And he just started showing me everything that was going on. Okay, here's that part about the fractional banking system where the words are all separated. So that means it was fractured. On the $1 bill, there is no spaces between the words. And this denominational value isn't $100. It's 1 divided by 100. So this was a penny. And this is how the cabal used money with a face value of $100, but an economic value of a penny to go and acquire everything, and then turn around and tax us on everything that we bought and on everything we earned. So you can go down this list and look at some of this stuff, and it's like, whoa. But what really struck me as I leaned into it was the value in 1955 for one fiat dollar was $1. It was $1 of buying power. Remember we talked about it wasn't about prices, it was about buying power. So buying power was up here at $1 in 1955, and into 2022 it dropped all the way down to 16 cents. So in 2022, one federal fiat dollar had 16 cents of buying power. Well, with Nasara and the buyback of XRP, prices aren't going down, buying power is going up. So buying power is going straight up. And then I did a timeline. And of course, this is part of another reveal that came from a clue that David Schwartz revealed. But we have a timeline going all the way out to 2062 to 63. Where for the first 17 years, that's about as long as we need money, currency. And once we get done with that, we don't need currency anymore. We will have reached that level to where whatever we imagine we need, it's just right there. And of course, we know the power of the number 17. It was all over my white paper. It's a sacred number in geometry, and how God put everything into existence, and how he holds it all together. And then there were all of these great little clues that popped up, like July 4th. And I started looking at the spacing of these little blue bars. And it was interesting, this one, broken down into little sizes like this, it creates this like a ladder. So when we get to 2032, well, it actually starts 2030. That's when we reach the full $1 million valuation for XRP. It's like a little ladder, but look how it just stopped right here. And it encircled. Sorry, I was on the wrong one. You can see this little ladder here, and it encapsulates the 1776, which is July 4th. And what does that mean? Well, if we go over to 5, it signifies the return to independence when the official Declaration of Independence was signed. Now, that's a very interesting date when it comes to everything that's taking place right now. Nasara, the buyback, etc. We've been given back our independence. It's kind of like I said before. We know what we're getting for Christmas. We know Christmas is coming. We just don't know what day Christmas is on this year. That's the only thing. But it's here. We already know that everything's been paid for, everything's been funded. It's all on the QFS system in your Quantum Access account card, etc. And we're going to be getting those shortly, this year. Everything's happening this year, folks. Don't buy into the FUD that says, oh, we got to wait till 2025, 2028. Baloney. God isn't going to make us wait. He already promised. And then we come over here and we look at the seals, right? Then we look at this one is the Federal Reserve. This one is the U.S. Treasury Department. So we went from this old fiat cabal system. It's ended. And now we're into the new Nasara XRP buyback, which fuels the restoration of the world. And it's all gold backed. So we get the gold pen, the feather pen. We have the gold hologram. We have the gold 100. This all is significant to what was to happen. And that's why I said it's the hidden clue on how everything would change. This was 2009. They already knew this was happening. But they gave it one last attempt to try to take everybody out. Didn't work. Plan failed. Evil's been eradicated. It's gone. And we're into this beautiful new system that God set before us. Fantastic. You can read over here. Fantastic. I'll cover more of this in the XRP video that I'm working on. I'd really like to get it done by the end of this weekend. We'll see how it goes. There's just so much information in it, and I want to give everything enough time. And again, that video includes everything that needs to be known. And it's amazing how many people have gone from they couldn't believe anything to now they believe everything. So everybody's taking ownership of this. Everybody's taking ownership of, oh gosh, Nasara, what was that? Oh man, Nasara's coming. Come on, it's real, it's real. Oh, there's never going to be a buyback for XRP. The buyback is here, it's coming. See, all God asked me to do was open people's eyes. And He does the rest. The Holy Spirit does the rest. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this. If we don't have anything coming out before the weekend, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Make sure the cars have gas. Make sure you got plenty of food on hand. Make sure you're ready for the EBS that's on its way. And thank you so much for your patronage and support. That means so much. God bless.
My father was a worker, and he loved to work. He'd work on Saturdays, he'd work on Sundays. He just liked it. He'd go to church, but after church, he'd go and work. He just loved it. And I think more than anything else, not because of what he taught me lots of different things, but I watched him be a happy man and work until he was like literally 93. He was 93 years old when he died. So I have a lot of friends, they take vacations for 6 weeks and 8 weeks and 3 months, and they're never happy. So I watched my father, so I like to work. You have some kids that aren't so smart that work very hard that do very well. I mean, I've seen it many times. You know, I was blessed to have smart children They did well in school. They got good marks. They didn't have problems. But a lot of that was early upbringing. I'd always say to them, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. I'd drive them crazy. I'd say every time they'd leave, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Repeat after me. But I drum it into their heads. And, you have to get back. You have to get through those artificial barriers. I call them artificial barriers because you can do something about it until it's too late. Once it's in your system, it's very hard to stop. Like, I don't drink, and it's very easy for me not to drink. I tell people, what are you drinking for? What are you drinking for? I had a brother, Fred, who was sadly an alcoholic, a serious alcoholic. He was much older. He was 10 years older than me, 11 years older than me, and he was as good-looking a guy as you've ever seen. He had everything going, the best personality. I have like a bad personality compared to Fred, but he started drinking, and he also smoked a lot. I think it started in college, frankly, but it got progressively worse. And he was really unable to stop. And he'd always tell me, don't you ever drink, and don't you ever smoke. He'd add the smoke in it because he smoked and he drank. And it hugely affected his health and hugely affected even his look. So I never drank. I mean, I really, when you talk about my father, I learned a lot from my father, but I learned a lot from my brother, Fred. And he set an example. It wasn't maybe the example that people would think, but it really was, in its own way, an example. I've spent my entire life in business looking at the untapped potential in projects and in people all over the world. And I didn't like seeing that. Spectacular people, sometimes underappreciated, unfortunately, but we appreciate them. We know what they go through. People I know that are really tough and really smart. And right now, that's what we need. We need toughness. We need this, we need the brain power, and we need toughness. That's a tremendously powerful weapon if they knew how to use it. They really do have a tremendously powerful weapon, but they don't use it, and they don't use it properly. They are terrible negotiators. I think right now what people want is they want competence. They're tired of other things. That's very important to people now. We must always remember that we share one home and one glorious destiny. Whether we are brown, black, or white, and we are all made by the same Almighty God. I say it is time for us to come together as one united people. As long as you have pride in your beliefs, courage in your convictions, and faith in your God, then you will not fail. You're going to go out, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. Some are going to make a lot of money. Some are going to be even happier doing other things. No dream is too big, no challenge is too great. Nothing we want for our future is beyond our reach. You will build a future where we have the courage to chase our dreams no matter what the cynics and the doubters have to say. You will have the confidence to speak the hopes in your hearts and to express the love that stirs your souls. No one is ever going to stop you from practicing your faith or from preaching what's in your heart. In your hearts are inscribed the values of service, sacrifice, and devotion. Now you must go forth into the world and turn your hopes and dreams into action. I know that each of you will do what is right, not what is the easy way, and that you will be true to yourself and your country and your beliefs. I'm blessed with a great memory, but it's very interesting. When I speak in front of large crowds, if you are reading a speech, it's much easier, but you don't get the reaction. If you're reading, or if you have teleprompters, if you have a teleprompter or in any way reading a speech or even looking down all the time at notes, you're not going to get the reaction from the crowd. So I go out and I really, it's a riskier proposition because when you read, you're not going to make any mistake. Now, I know what I'm going to say, but it's a riskier thing. But it's a much better, when you get it right, it's a thing of beauty. If I give you one message to hold in your hearts today, it's this: never, ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit, you'll want to go home. I've seen so many brilliant people. They gave up in life They were totally brilliant. They were top of their class. They were the best students. I've seen others who really didn't have that talent or that ability, and they're among the most successful people today in the world because they never quit and they never gave up. So just remember that. Never stop fighting and dream big and bold and daring. We have to do that. Carry yourself with dignity and pride. Demand the best from yourself and be totally unafraid to challenge entrenched interests and failed power structures. And always have the courage to be yourself. Most importantly, you have to do what you love. You have to do what you love. I've seen so many people, they're forced through lots of reasons to go down a path that leads them to something that they don't love, that they don't enjoy. You have to do what you love, or you most likely won't be very successful at it. You do what you do. I mean, it is what it is. You've learned, and you're an intelligent person. You have to understand that about yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be very good up there. And when your story goes from here, it will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Just think for a moment of how blessed you are, be surrounded by people who you love and care about so much. Then ask yourself, with all of those blessings and all of the blessings that you've been given, what imprint will you leave in the sands of history? Following your convictions means you must be willing to face criticism from those who lack the same courage to do what is right. A small group of failed voices who think they know everything and understand everyone want to tell everybody else how to live and what to do and how to think. But you aren't going to let other people tell you what you believe. But the fact is, no one has ever achieved anything significant without a chorus of critics standing on the sidelines explaining why it can't be done. Nothing is easier or more pathetic than being a critic. But the future belongs to the dreamers, not to the critics. The future belongs to the people who follow their heart no matter what the critics say, because they truly believe in their vision. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. So, yeah, there's a certain energy you have to get. You have to build up the energy. It's called the road less traveled. I know that each of you will be a warrior for the truth. Each of you should take immense pride in what you have achieved. The story of America is the story of an adventure that began with deep faith, big dreams, and humble beginnings. Did we take risks? Did we dare to defy expectations? Did we challenge accepted wisdom and take on established systems? Or did we just go along with convention, swim downstream so easily with the current, and just give in because it was the easy way, it was the traditional way, or it was the accepted way? The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.